And kind of expected now when we talk about a guy like Ninja, almost every time it's some sort of controversy or maybe some people out there taking it a bit out of hand. This was definitely, at least in my eyes, certainly a nightmare situation, no matter how you wrap your head around it, because it did involve Ninja. Not necessarily fully his fault, but certainly a lot of people out there blaming him, at least partially, for a situation which also fell in the hands of a tournament organizer, that being Knights GG, an esports organization this past weekend, who put on a Valorant event. I'm going to give you guys a brief TLDR, but we have a video about this as well, and now a response by the team that was initially disqualified. Bit of a backhand towards Knights GG, but obviously Ninja being involved is he was going to be in a hairy situation no matter what with this.
Yeah, it's always, whenever he's involved, there's just enough people that don't care for him that there's no way he's going to ever come out of it like unscathed. But, and we'll go into detail, but like there's some stuff that we maybe could have fixed on his end to make this a little smoother for himself, but the story itself is kind of wild if you want to give him the TLDR.
Yeah, a brief TLDR of the events this past weekend. Knights GG hosting a Valorant event. At one point in time, it was actually Ninja and his team Time In. Please don't crucify me. They actually get 2-0 swept by BBG, or Built by Gamers. Then we find out that Built by Gamers has been disqualified from the event following that victory, and suspicions of one of their members cheating with some clips, that member known as Critical. And unfortunately so, it's actually Ninja's team Time In. By default, they then replace the team that just actually beat them, that being BBG. But then we find out it was actually thanks to, I think it's anti-cheat PD, pretty well credited, at least to some extent of accuracy about finding evidence on these things. They find no further evidence, and they decide, okay, now let's undisqualify the team. This final call was made by Knights GG and their president, so you disqualify the team, then you find out, okay, maybe let's not, because there's no further evidence. And one of their players from Built by Gamers actually accusing Ninja of his prominence and his backing having an influence as to why they were initially disqualified just for clips. So that's where it gets kind of tricky. And now, a day later this past weekend, after they're undisqualified, Built by Gamers says, yeah, we're going to forego the rest of the tournament. You guys just keep on doing your thing. We're going to prepare for other events instead. So obviously quite complex, a lot more detail to it, but also pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and then we went on to ask you guys who you thought took the blame in this situation. And unsurprisingly, almost half of you, and this is with 10,000 votes in.
About an hour.
Yeah, in about an hour. I'm sure it'll be a lot more by the time it goes up, but 50% of you guys blamed Ninja. Just under 35% blamed the org, so blamed Knights GG. 6% blamed the fans. They blamed Ninja's fans, not Ninja. Like his fans got carried away with the pressure. And then 12% just said, this is one of those things where no one's at fault, just everything kind of sucks. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and at least for me, again, that poll will hopefully have, you guys do a great job voting on our polls and giving us some feedback. Hopefully 30 to 50,000 votes by the time this video might go live. I do agree to a certain extent Ninja is at fault here, right? The way he behaved himself on social media, we don't know the behind the scenes details. He could have done a better job, but just like any situation like this, you can always do a better job. In the moment, how are you supposed to know how to react like this? But with his large audience, you got to be always on edge, be careful.
Yeah, when you've got the kind of money that Ninja has, and as many times as he's kind of stuck his foot in his mouth on Twitter, it might be time to hire someone to be like the intermediary, to walk around with that Twitter kill switch and just be like, nope. And the tweet we're talking about wasn't even that bad of a tweet, but Ninja kind of comes forward and says sort of like, oh yeah, my team did accuse him of cheating, and also just so you guys know, this guy's been accused of cheating 4 times now, leaving out the fact that the guy was cleared by Riot 3 times. Like,
yeah, and
the dude's just kind of cracked.
But even then, part of me, if I was in Ninja's shoes, I'm like, yeah, if I'm trying to uphold the decision that was made and maybe influenced by me to the tournament organizer who made the ultimate call. In my video, I said Knights GG is mostly at fault here because they made the final call.
Yeah, and while like we agree that like Ninja had some part to play here, I also absolutely agree. And of the two of us, I think it's pretty clear to say that Jake is a much bigger Ninja fan than I am.
That is true. You are usually...
I'm usually on the other side of it just because of how poorly he handles social media and stuff. But this has to fall on the organizer. This is the most weak, wishy-washy, what are you doing moment I've seen of someone that's trying to run like an actual decent sized tournament. You can't do this, DQ a team under whatever kind of pressure, fair or not, and then come back the next day and be like, you guys are back in. After that team's already made plans. They're doing other stuff. It's like around the holidays. Like people are on planes. Like it doesn't help. It makes you look terrible. It puts Ninja in a terrible spot, which he then kind of exacerbates on his own. But you just can't do that. No tournament organizer who wants to be taken seriously would ever have done something like this, especially not knowing that the guy who was being accused of cheating had this happen before and was a very good player and was cleared by Riot.
Yeah.
Like that is a giant, like how do you not know that and make that decision?
But part of me was also thinking, okay, why has he had to, be cleared 3 times? That did cross my mind. So
it did.
In the moment, I might have tweeted the same thing as Ninja, but obviously shouldn't have, knowing what we know now. It's just
the best tweet from Ninja would have been no tweet, or just been like, "Hey, the decision is what the decision is. I don't have anything to say about it. We'll see you guys tomorrow."
Yeah.
But and the other thing is, if that guy getting reported that much happens a lot, especially as you work your way up from like these kind of like pro-am ranks, where like you're not quite tier 1, but you're working your way there, because there's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of people scrapping for those jobs, and so there's a lot of accusations of cheating as you work your way up that kind of go away as you hit the tier 1 pro rank, because everyone is fighting for that spot. So there's a lot of mud being slung at the slightly lower levels. Not that, BBG is not going to be a tier 1 org or close to it in Valorant already, but that kind of explains why Critical has been knocked a few times. Because if you're just really, really good and you're not on a top tier pro team, that's people's excuse.
That's fair. Like COD amateurs riddled with
all
accusations.
The time,
right? But I think we definitely fall towards the same. Obviously, Ninja is partially at fault. I think Riot Games not having a proper anti-cheat also should properly be at fault.
That's definitely, that's got to be in there.
That puts any TO out there to have to make these calls in a very weird spot, because let's say, in a far-fetched situation, BBG does go on to win and Critical is actually somehow found guilty, then the tournament organizers like, well, we should have made the call. So obviously that's to a certain extent as well. I think it falls on TO first, then maybe Riot with no anti-cheat, then Ninja as well. It obviously could have been played out a lot of different ways, but it's one of the first times we're seeing this for Valorant. So it's a sticky situation that we're actually seeing across other esports. We saw it with Call of Duty events the same exact weekend. So at the end of the day, Ninja's going to get blamed for just about everything he does. It's the unfair situation he is in, of course, that he has also sometimes put himself in. But the real issue here is cheating, right? The fact that we have so many cheaters that now we don't know who is and who is not. That's been a real issue, especially throughout online 2020. And unfortunately, Ninja kind of found out the hard way with this previous Valorant event. Hopefully going forward, everyone can learn from it.
And hopefully going forward, maybe, Activision and Riot might invest in actual anti-cheat. Yeah. Instead of just like crossing their fingers and hoping for the best.
Yeah, with all that money you're making, let's not rely on anti-cheat PD on Twitter. Either way, Ninja, as polarizing as always, I think he'll be fine though. And Nice GG found out the hard way not to make those kind of calls. Props to Built by Gamers for saying, "Frick your event, we're moving on."
I love that. It's like, listen, we're doing stuff, we're getting on planes. We don't need your little 10K holiday event. We're gone. You screwed up later. We're out. It's like, here's our ball. You can have it back. Peace.
Ninja's nightmare. What do you guys think? We'll catch you back here in the next one.